Because I believe that God has given us the power to create. For instance, I have a poultry in my house where I rear the chicken that we eat in my house. The poultry cage I used, I built it myself with the help of my guys around. The flower pot we use for our flower garden, we did it ourselves. Most of the things you find around my house are the things that I did myself, or we did ourselves. That producing mentality I've been ingrained in me and in my training while I was growing up. So let me go to our topic today. Why do leaders produce and why do followers consume? Take Nigeria or most of African nations, for instance, we have been trained to be consumers and not producers. And these are part of the trainings that are ingrained into our lives by the colonial masters, because they taught us how to consume things and not how to produce things. And that's why, for instance, in Nigeria, even though we have crude oil, we still import oil from abroad. Even though we have cocoa here, we still import chocolate. Even though we have timbers, we still import furniture. Even things as small as toothpick, we import fish. Even though we have so many seas, in this country, we import rice and agricultural products, even though we have one of the best arable land in the whole world. Why? Because we've been trained to be consumers. And that's why we are followers. Why? Because followers always love to consume, while leaders always love to produce. The producing nations are the leading nations. Nations who love to produce will always find themselves at the forefront of other nations. So if we want to become leaders, then one of the ways we have to start is to exchange our consuming mindset and mentality to our producing mindsets and mentality. We need to start to think as a producer and not as a consumer, because as long as we continue to consume, we'll remain a follower. Why do some people produce and why do some people consume? One major reason. The reason why leaders produce and followers consume is because followers hate the process and leaders love the process. Followers love the product, they hate the process. They love the product, they hate the process. We love our chocolate, but we hate the process of producing it. We love the petrol, the kerosene, and all those things, but we hate the stress, the process. We love the good clothes, the suits, and many of these things, but we hate to go through the process of sewing. We love to have good results, brilliant results, but we hate to read. In this video, I'll be discussing 5 reasons why followers love the products but hate the process. Number 1 is because followers lack patience. People who are followers, they lack patience. For you to actually produce, anything that is substantial, anything that is good, you need time. Time is a factor in the process of producing any product. Followers, they lack patience. They want something and they want it now. The same way Africans, Nigerians, followers, we need something, we need it now. We need a good government, we need it now. We need a good product, we need it now. And that's why even when we produce, most of our products are substandard, because we can't just wait to produce quality things.
Good to be back on the program. Good morning. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. And the secret of getting ahead is simply getting started. So, good, better, best. I shall never rest until my good is better, and then my better, best. Independence Days are celebrated annually in respect and remembrance of a long-awaited freedom of the country. Every 1st of October, Nigeria celebrates our independence from the colonial master and rule. 1960, October 1st, is indeed a day to reckon with in Nigeria, Africa, and on the global space. 1960, October 1st, a national holiday, a time to feel the pride and to show the respect for every freedom fighter. 1960, a country called Nigeria was born. It is time to go enjoy a special package on Nigeria's independence, the giant of Africa at 62.
Nigeria became a British protectorate in 1901 after the founding fathers of Nigerian independence, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Ahmadu Bello, negotiated Nigeria's independence from Britain. On the 1st of October 1960, Nigeria was granted full independence from Great Britain. The country reviewed its Freedom Charter that same day from Princess Alexandra of Kent, who was the Queen's representative at the independence ceremonies. The country's first Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, took on the reins of power. The celebrations lasted for weeks in some parts of the country. It started from the race course, now Tafawa Balewa Square in Obanende, Lagos, to other notable places for different events as lined up for the celebration of the independence. For example, the raising of the Nigerian flag and others. In 1963, Nigeria declared itself as the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with Nnamdi Azikiwe as the first president. The first military coup led to the death of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa in 1966, and Major General Agoyin Ironsi took over power as the first military head of the state. There was another military coup which led to the killing of Agoyin Ironsi, and Colonel Yakubu Gowon assumed office. He replaced the four regions, North, East, West, and South, with states and the federal state. The Second Republic of Nigeria came on board in 1983, which made Alhaji Shehu Shagari the president. He ordered more than 1 million West African migrants, especially Ghanaians, to leave Nigeria at a very short notice because of the economic downturn in the country. The bags they used to carry their possessions was known as Ghana Must Go. Till today, the number of states increased to 19 in 1979, 29 in 1991, and later stands at 36. In 1993, the military ruler Ibrahim Babangida yielded to international pressure and held the presidential election. The acclaimed winner of the election was Chief Moshood Abiola, but the result was annulled by a decree and stepped aside. Ernest Shonekan was brought into power, and his administration was short-lived, as it was toppled by late General Sani Abacha in November 1993. After years of military rule interrupted by 82 days of civilian government in 1993, democracy returned to Nigeria. General Abdulsalam Abubakar transferred power to former military ruler Olusegun Obasanjo, who was elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), which heralded the Fourth Republic that has been the longest period of democratic governance in Nigeria so far. Obasanjo served 2 terms in office, and the incumbent is another former military leader, Muhammadu Buhari, who took office as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Going round town, Good Morning Crew sampled the opinion of some people on the independence of Nigeria.
From my own perspective, and from many people's perspective, I don't think that is worth celebrating. Why? Because our past leaders, they have failed us. And if we now say, okay, we are celebrating, it's just like a baby that is not ready. and you put that baby out for celebration, we are still crawling as a nation. And we have to start listing all those areas that the country has failed us. You look at the economy, you look at the electricity, look at the even people. Like if you look at how much they are selling a liter of petrol, a liter of diesel, that has actually collapsed and making all these small businesses not growing. So people, factually, they are not really happy. So, and you see, the same leader who clamoring for election in 2023, after we've not recorded a tremendous growth many years back. And the owners of the things is that the priority should be like focus on how people is going to be secure, how people are going to, like, the economy is going to be vibrant for people to be able to feed themselves on a daily basis. Then if you still want to celebrate, that will cause for celebration.
We pray Nigeria will be better, but I don't see anything like celebration in what is going on. Everybody knows what is going on. We pray that God come and help us in this country.
I actually want to believe that we are not actually going to have independence, because the country as it were now, in fact, we need God's intervention. There's so much insecurity, there's so much poverty everywhere. The high rate of inflation in Nigeria is alarming, and it keeps going every day. In fact, I'm just coming from somewhere now, and everything keeps going higher and higher every day. We are not supposed to be celebrating, we are supposed to be praying to God. At this point in time, Nigeria needs more prayers. We need prayer. We need God to step into our situation, because things are getting bad, getting worse by the day. We really need God to intervene in this country, in this nation, to bring good leaders. We need new people. Now we are going towards another phase of democracy. By 2023, we will be having other leaders. Is it the same trend that we will keep following? We have been on this trend for how many years now? 8 years. Was it like this in 2015? No. So what are we talking about? This is not the time to celebrate. This is the time to think. This is the time to meditate on and actually go back to our drawing board and say, where have we gone wrong in Nigeria? Where have we gone wrong? There are lots of paupers out there. They will have finished service, no job. There is no job anywhere. There are people that don't feed more than once in a day. There are some that can't even feed themselves in a day. Even if you are doing business, I left a professional job, I'm doing business, it's not working. It's not working. Take a loan from a bank, look at the interest rates. Can you make that kind of profit back? No. So at 62, we need God to intervene.
Over the years, the country rose to become the largest black nation and well populated, with immense natural and human endowments. But poor political governance, abject poverty, lack of infrastructure, and incessant security challenges are dominating and keeping Nigeria from living up to its prospects. But in spite of all these challenges, we need to reflect and rededicate ourselves to make Nigeria stronger and more resilient than ever. Happy Independence.
You are welcome back to your program, our program Good Morning, right here on the Broadcasting Corporation of your state, IBADAN. There is no country in the global space with so much strength, power, energy, resilience, diversity, blessing, talent, and the African pride as Nigeria. May the labor of all our past heroes never be in vain. Happy 62nd birthday, our dear Nigeria. Yeah, it is time to go on a short music break. You know what? Don't go away, because we'll be right back. Let's go, have some fun. You're welcome back from the music break. I hope you had a great time listening, enjoying that beautiful, lovely tune. Well, being able to provide for the family is important, but when living without recreation is like a car without gas. Time for another power-filled package, this time on recreation. Come with me.
Recreation is an activity of leisure. The need to do something for recreation is an essential element of human biology and psychology. Recreational activities are often done for enjoyment, amusement, or pleasure and are considered to be fun. Recreation is an essential part of human life. It can be communal or solitary, active or passive, outdoor or indoor. These are some recreational activities: swimming, painting, cycling, yoga, visiting amusement park, gardening, photography, early morning walks, rock climbing, and so on. Recreation has so many benefits that have been proven and validated by scientific research, which demonstrates the benefits of recreation and leisure. These benefits can be applied in different areas of life, irrespective of the recreational activities you do, since your health encompasses your physical, emotional, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. Recreational activities increases life expectancies. It improves heart health. It prevents bone diseases. It reduces chronic diseases like diabetes. It reduces obesity. It reduces stress and depression. It creates opportunities for lifelong learning. It also enhances emotional health, social skill. It understands cultural differences. It reduces isolation and loneliness, and it also bonds and keeps the family together.
Recreation is having time out of work to create time of pleasure for yourself, to enjoy yourself. Most times, to retire, go for swimming, and find time to relax with my family and enjoy ourselves, go out to have fun outside. That's most times, that's the way I recreate.
Recreation is something that whenever you do it, it gives you joy. You feel relaxed. At times, I just love listening to music and reading.
Therefore, it is advisable to participate in one or more recreational activities of your choice in order to enjoy all the health, psychological, social, and environmental benefits of recreation.
Welcome back from the beautiful package on recreation, and now you know that people who cannot find time for recreation are obliged sooner or later to find time for illness. That sounds so bad. Okay, so he that will make good use of any part of his life must allow a large part of it to recreation. Sadly, I really don't like to say this, but then we have to go. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the program Good Morning. I hope you had a great time on the program today. Why not do this again with me next time on Good Morning? And I promise it's going to be much more exciting than we had today. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for your time. And until we meet again on the program Good Morning, don't forget, in everything you do, always put God first. And one more thing, a bit to the left, much to the right. My name is Elizabeth Awokusain. Have yourself a fantastic day. Don't forget, it is Good Morning. Arise and shine. I love you. Bye for now.
Good morning, I greet you. Hours are nice. Good morning, I greet you. It will be a beautiful day. If you do your work with honesty and pride, you will find your dreams coming true very soon. Said if we could be patient and live within the law, there will be much progress, everyone will be happy. Good morning, I greet you.
Yoruba nation, people will find it, but some few weeks ago we celebrated Kiriji. And that was a day Yorubas all world, after they fought some years of ferocious battle, still the longest in the history of wars. The Yorubas, Ekiti, Jebu, Ibadan, they all came together and signed a treaty called the Yoruba Unity Treaty. Where's that unity treaty today? It has been politicized, it has been broken down by years of military rulership, whereby from independence, we went into slavery of military government. And in the last 20 years, we're falling prey to another slavery period with the politicians, all parties. They've enslaved us, they've enslaved our minds, and we're not able to do all we're supposed to do.
So has it been a gloomy situation since 62 years ago for Nigeria and Nigerians?
Yes, the leaders ride in limousines, they ride in, it's gloomy, it's bright and beautiful for the leaders, but for the populace, for the people, the downtrodden, it has not been anything that anybody would feel proud of. The few people who have survived, like a few of us, have only managed to without losing reputation, integrity, and what you call BB Omoluabi. But in the present context, where you have Omoluabi has been thrown into the bush, BB thrown overboard, and what you have is knaves and thieves controlling our lives and being in charge of our day-to-day life.
Okay, so what's your view about national development in Nigeria for the past 62 years?
When you have a nation, you can have development. You can have
a nation.
Then what you have is selective. Look, how many silos are in the north? How many silos are here in the south? How much is being given to farmers in the north? How much is being given to farmers here? We have Cocoa Development Fund, 500 million for each state. How much has it been given to us? So when you say national development, the roads is taking you almost 30 years to reconstruct Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, even within us. So when you do that comparison, it's kind of fudgy. Fudgy in the sense that you look at even the military. The number of projects the military did in 20 years, you cannot compare it with the number of projects the civilians have done in 20 years. The military, with their dictatorship style, have performed more than 20 years of our democracy, at least in terms of service to humanity, in terms of letting the people who did all the water construction program in Ibadan. The military, when they were building those pipeline, the water line, the pipes were as big, you could take a car. They were rigged in this soil in Ibadan. Years after, people have come to do that same project. And for everybody that awards the Ibadan water project, it's just from the pipe gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And maybe now they're going to collect money again from World Bank. It will just be 6 inches from something like almost 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet that was sunk here around Jembewa period. So when you look at the past, at what has been done and what is being done now, hey, you pray to God. You pray to God that, and if you look at that road now, and I'm being very specific, let's look at Mokola to WNTV, the NTA. You see those potholes, those holes now emerging. It's like an earthquake. And it's from years of decay, years of us hurting ourselves just because some people want to make money and put it in their pocket. You say you want to tie a road out at 75 mm, you would award a contract at 85 or 100 mm. By the time they're executing it, it's 10 mm. Why won't those roads be filled with potholes? But at the same time, we blame ourselves. We blame ourselves because we are not asking questions. We are not asking questions. We are not asking why. We have allowed everything to go on. We are on a free course. So, I mean, the questions you're asking me this morning are very intriguing. And if you are looking at the past, it was promising. Then, if you look at the present, this present, it's not promising. If you're looking at the future, it's hazy, dark. I really don't know what to say.
You really think people do not want to ask questions? But what happens to those who ask questions and they get brutalized?
There's a sacrifice to be made.
Right.
Right. If the days of yours, because you talk about past and present, you had all the time David West, Professor Aluko, from the universities, coming out, profiling solutions. If they could, Awolowo himself stood Shagari on his toes throughout his regime. Because for every time Shagari did anything in national development, Awolowo will come back and say, yeah, this thing cannot work. The reason why it cannot work. Who are those doing that now? We still have universities. We still have very knowledgeable lecturers. But I think, and to be fair with ourselves, I think those 30-something years of military dictatorship has not allowed us to grow a new set of Sam Aluko, Gani Fawemi, the remnants of all that is the Femi Falana, and a few others who we have. And they've been straight, right, left, and center to come into what they do not even believe in. So sometimes they give opinion that does not resonate down to the grassroots. So when you talk about national development, it has not been even. There's no equity. There's no justice in what is being done. We all talk about the permanent secretaries. We talk about board of NNPC. We talk about so many things. Government does not give a hoot. They're not. So I would rate I'll rate national development as favoring the North more than the West and the East.
If you say that you rate national development as favoring more the North than the other sub-regions, do we have, as a region, have to depend on the federal government that much? Isn't it something we can do by ourselves?
It's a laziness of the mind, cultured over the years by leadership that's not cultured towards progress and development. And by this I say that all the political parties cannot be equated to even GMPP, held by Waziri. The present day, the parties don't have discipline, they don't have a cycle of leadership, they don't have a pool of leadership, they're not training people for tomorrow. All they are interested in how are we going to get into power. So it's our fault that we are not doing what we're supposed to do. What we're supposed to do, we are not doing because we are all dependent on government. We want government to be the one that's going to do everything. We've been spoiled with that idea as government.
Or maybe because the way the Constitution is structured.
Don't talk about the Constitution, because that Constitution, I'm sorry to say, and people know it, I, Deji Osibogun, would continuously blame the person who handed over power to Obasanjo. That's Abubakar. And I want to ask him publicly today, sir, did you, as the chairman of Armed Forces Ruling Council, go through that constitution on the last day of the AFRC meeting? Did members of the AFRC go through it to know that this document that you're handing over to civilian regime would not allow us to grow in the last 20 years? If you did, please let us know how you went about to approve this constitution for Nigeria. And the second leg is my grand old dad, Obasanjo. Papa, as I called him. The frenzy of that moment, of you coming out from detention, from you being asked to become president, did not allow you to have the people like you have around you to go through the constitution you are going to operate with and say, look, before I go further, we have to amend this constitution. If Abubakar had done that and Papa had gone through that constitution, he would have realized that years after, if you hand it over to Buhari, it will not be used properly. And years after Buhari, who is going to handle it? We don't know. That is a dangerous document that needs the contribution of Nigerians so it can help us all to grow.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll talk about the call for secession.
Present situation of Nigeria is not worthy for any celebration. If you can feel the situation of everything, economy, the situation of ASU, the element of petrol price, I don't know what to say. The insecurity is part of it. So Nigeria is not worthy for any celebration. From my own point of view,
I may be wrong, but my personal opinion is this: we don't have anything to celebrate in Nigeria at 62. This is a country that is blessed all over. Human resources wise, natural resources wise, God has blessed us so much. There's no country in the whole world that's as blessed as this nation, Nigeria. That every blessing God has endowed us with has been squandered by our leaders. It is pathetic that Nigeria has not grown up. Upon everything that God has endowed us with, we remain dwarfed. Though we claim to be giants of Africa, we remain dwarfed. We cannot even feed ourselves. We import food. We have crude oil. God has blessed us with crude. We have to export this crude and bring it back to Nigeria before we can use the products. The glorious destiny our forefathers that got this independent for us, the likes of Awolowo, the likes of Azikwe, the likes of Sadauna of Sokoto, and all the rest. All of them, they envisage a great future for this nation at the independence. But it is pathetic that as 62, after independence, we could not have our own airline carrier. The one we say we want to re-establish now is being co-owned by another nation, Ethiopia Airline. Ethiopia Airline is going to own about 49% of our own national carrier. We keep losing our potentials to the other nation. The only language our young people in the amount of every youth of this nation is that we want to run out of the country. They use one balance. They say we want to japa. That is in the language. They at 62, ASU has been on strike for 7 months. The government, that our own government is able to negotiate with bandits, they are not able to negotiate with ASU. It is pathetic.
Nigeria is going to be 62 years into this time. We are commemorating with the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are glad where we are coming from is far. Where we are now, we are glad where we are now because it's not been easy, even for the president of the country. You know, there's a lot of political issues right now in the country, but we are glad where we are now. We believe we can do better. It is worth celebrating because Nigeria is our own. We don't have any other country. Wherever we go to, we're always going to come back home. So what do we want to do? Do we want to celebrate the country or we want to castigate the country. We can't keep blaming all our leaders. It is my duty, it is your duty, it is our collective responsibility to make the nation great.
It's not worth celebrating. It should go on a low key because everything is so tight. The food is not reachable in the market. Everything. I can't name it. Several things. We cannot just get anything right in this country. So they need to change. We need a change. We need a good change to make a progress in this country and give us a good leader that will lead us to a better status.
No, I think for us as Nigerians, we need to be grateful for the fact that we have democracy. What democracy means is liberation. That even things are not better the way we want it, they are not the way we want it now. We are going to the polls next year. We have the right to vote the leaders that we want, leaders that will do what we want, and we change our country to be what we want it to be. So democracy is moving, is improving. Democracy is not a day's job. It is over time. And I think that Nigeria will still be better. Yes, it is. It is really worth celebrating. We are not where we are yesterday. We are not where we were 7-8 years before. We are not where we were 10 years ago. So I know that with this advent of democracy, we will be better. Next year, we will be better. In the next 5 years, we will be better. So democracy is better for us. And independence is a good thing for us. It has made us a republic, and it is a good one.
Deji, Osibogun, and that was spoke on the 62nd independence anniversary of Nigeria is worth celebrating. And before we went for that spoke, we were going to talk about restructuring. So, sir, first of all, shouldn't we celebrate our anniversary?
Well, if the anniversary is meaningful to you as a person, if it's something that is worth celebrating, but if it's something that's denied its citizenry the joy and laughter of an anniversary, why celebrate it? If it is something that is not comparable to what you had 62 years ago, then if it's that negative, it's as negative as the roads now cannot be compared to even the untarred roads of the past. So to celebrate what is not, I think it's a waste of mind, human resources. But you can acknowledge that day, but not celebrate it. It's just another day we should acknowledge. Really and seriously, because it's a day that when you reflect on it seriously, it's not a day that you can say we are celebrating the unity of a nation, because we are not united anymore. 62 years, maybe we were, but now we are no longer united.
So maybe we are not celebrating the unity of a nation. Maybe we are celebrating the independence, the freedom from colonial...
The slave masters.
Either way, I said earlier in the program that we're still slaves in that nation we fought for independence. And if you want to celebrate slavery, I won't be part of that.
But then, shortly after independence, there were nationalists that cut across all ethnic groups. At what point did we become this divided as a nation?
Let me tell you how. If you see the picture of Otunba during the Independence Day, that's, I think, the day we started missing it. From that day that Awolowo was not given his rightful position, his rightful seat, and that Independence Day was relegated to the background. That was the day we started missing it, because those who worked hard were not there at the moment of joy. It's a cost, it's a silent cost that people like Awolowo did give finally when he went into prison, that I'll leave you in darkness. And he did come back and meet us in darkness, and he has left us in darkness. So from that day of independence, and you see Otunba coming with 20 yards of kente wrapped around a boy, like back in the slavery period. It was a day some of us saw that, yes, we have missed it. Because the politicians we had were looking at all the Lord Lugard and the sausage and the egg they were eating and the kind of comforts they were riding in. And all of a sudden, our local.
Right.
Yes, it was this our local theory that also that, yeah, so they became the ones that were in charge, Oyibo Simbemo, our local. So the our local theory destroyed what we call political psyche of us as a nation. And the Bugamaisin, Buga, everybody, the Buga theory. Those are two theories that we carried from the past and that is now prominent. The Buga theory of politicians, once you put them in office, they cannot go low. No, they are always there. And these are passing times that when some of us meet, you know, we are not a serious nation, seriously.
Right.
Because we all discuss all this matter and then the next minute we all stand up, go at different homes, resume the next day to discuss the same thing.
Sure.
Not one of us anywhere out there go out to try and solve the problem of the nation. We just talk about it. So the Buga theory and our locum from the past.
It's hunting.
So when they toppled Awolowo's government, they found out some ministers, some people had 23 houses. It was in the Daily Sketch then, Tribune, 10 houses seized, a commission of inquiry found this, found that. Nauseating as it was, and victimization, as you want to call it, but it revealed something in the class and the culture of people who are ruling us. Then they started amassing wealth. They started working for themselves. They started building houses. And most of those houses they built in their hometowns and villages are now decorated. Yes. So why do it? Why are you repeating the same thing? Over the years, the same political class. But even then, in the past, it was better because the party would sanction you. But now the party cannot sanction anybody because an individual, a member of House of Rep, is bigger than a party. You can't sanction them because what? These guys have money. And they have money to throw 5,000, 2,000 to 100 boys to come and start stoning you. So that's the democracy we have, a violent democracy that is breeding criminals. Everybody's doing what they can and they're getting away with it. You have a constituency assembly and allowances. You say a constituent project, you are going to build a hospital. The hospital, you don't build it, turn it into a hotel, it becomes your hotel. We're not asking questions. We're not probing. Let the people at home, wherever you are, in your community, go out, find out who is your councillor, how much has he earning. If you cannot get those information, contact the right sources. People like us will give you. Go after all these details. How can somebody take 300 million in a year and you cannot account for it in your area and you are keeping quiet? So God is not going to come from heaven. We are going to solve this problem ourselves. Let the people be educated. BCOS, space of all news stations, educate the people on their rights. Once the people know their rights, then they can start fighting for it. This is a situation where people don't know their rights. They are being fed by 5,000 naira, 2,000 naira from politicians. And they think that it's their right. Now, these people just go and line up eto wani, whereas it's not your eto. So the real eto is for you to ask where is the money? Taxpayers. People don't know that we, the taxpayers, are the one paying all the subsidy. So they take subsidy. What are they using for? We don't ask. I think we are entering a period for us to ask questions and then to beg President Buhari to look seriously at the future of this nation. Because right now, if we the frenzy of election has taken over everybody. And the reality is that you are still going to operate the same faulty constitution. If you don't restructure, things are going to get worse. So the president, we're appealing to you, take the necessary steps. We have enough time between now and February next year for you, at least, to set up the National Assembly to quickly endorse this amended constitution, to begin the process of restructuring, devolution of powers, local government autonomy, local government security, and quite a whole lot of other things. These are things that you can lay the foundation within the next 6 months, and then you leave office with at least some records. Because APC, PDP, they've had the combination of raping the society.
Yeah, Otunba, when we talk about restructuring, the average person will say, we want restructuring, but then let us break it down.
What are we restructuring?
Understandable indices. What exactly does restructuring entail?
But if you want me to break it down, I think restructuring would mean let me be in charge of my water. Ogunpa, let me be in charge of it. Don't tell me I cannot do anything on Ogunpa until I come to the federal government. If I have bitumen, let me be able to source it.
Okay.
I shouldn't. If you want something from me as a member of that nation, we'll give it to you. At least I can now use that money too. So if I am not going to come to Abuja every month to collect money, then I can spend more time as a governor. Look at the governors. Most of the governors spend more time in Abuja. But now they are now even thinking of building a complex for governors to be having meetings. So people are abandoning their constitutional rules, and the constitution is being manipulated in such a way that at the end of the day, you might not have value for what is on the ground. So restructuring. Okay, let me put it this way. We Yorubas, let's first restructure our land, because we cannot restructure the whole Nigeria. Let's take it step by step. Let's restructure our land. How do we restructure our land? We said it earlier. Ask questions. What has happened to this? What has happened to that? Look at education in your area. How many rooftops have been blown up? How many students have been? If you get interested in the people that you see on a day-to-day basis as you're driving past, then this society will get better. So for me, I would say restructuring for me starts from Yoruba land. Starts from knowing exactly what the governor is doing, what the senators are doing, that is restructuring. That, for me, begins a process of accountability, which is missing. And that, if you have a process of accountability, you can have good leadership. But if you don't care and I don't ask, then I can continue to do whatever I want to do. So,
now, what's
okay. And yes, that's a basic thing. I think for me, as a Yoruba man, I want to deal with a problem in a Yoruba way.
Dealing with the problem in the Yoruba way also entails bringing in traditional rulers and making them have their own impact. Sometimes I wonder what these traditional rulers have been up to lately, especially in the area of development, restructuring of the Yoruba nation.
That's all part of the problem of the constitution. the Constitution has enslaved the Institute of Obership. It has enslaved them that the governors are the ones who will give them pittance. So if the minute you start showing anything, they can cut off your allowance. And the governor can remove you overnight. Yes. So all the things that didn't happen in the past are now enshrined in this constitution. That's why you have to get rid of that constitution, so that Obas can be responsible for who is the member of House of Assembly. Go and call him. Not the member of House of Assembly saying, Kabiyesi Ewa mo fẹ́ bá yín sọ̀rọ̀. Yes, so the reverse is the other. So I cannot blame any Oba today that is not as vociferous as some of us. Or that is, Ikú bàbá yèyé kọ́lọ́n fọ́run kẹ́. Yes, he in his own time he tried. My own Kabiyesi, Oba SK Adetono, Agbagba Awujale, Kabiyesi, he is continuously on this. And he's even set up a center for good governance with his own money. So, Obas want to. I can mention 10 Obas who want to do development, but they are being hindered. If you own the land and federal government is saying you cannot do anything on your land, you just be there. So, instead of the Obas sitting down and people bringing yams to them and the corn and everything, Obas are the ones down that are taking yam to members of the senator and whatever. Don't forget me. So this, don't forget me. I'm giving you so many theories that are political.
Right. The Buga theory.
The Buga theory. The
Awalokon.
And then the third one.
The Yaman. Don't forget me. Don't forget me theory, right?
We'll take a break now. We'll come back. Otunba Osibogun is still here. Don't go anywhere. Still me morning.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. I'm quite sure people who were around at that time will know what I'm talking about. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign, in peace or battle honor, and this we count as gain, to pass on to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. These were the words of all Nigerians on October the 1st of 1960. As the Union Jack, the British national flag, was lowered and hoisted in its place the new Nigerian flag designed by Taiwo Akinkunmi in 1959. The atmosphere was filled with joy and anxiety as excited Nigerians stormed the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos to partake in the celebration of the independence of Nigeria on Saturday, the 1st of October, 1960. Amongst the crowd were students, cultural dancers, acrobats, masquerades, and others who were all eager to paint the celebration red with their performances. Policemen stood in bands in different key places across the square to prevent or suppress any form of unwanted intrusion. It was a wonderful sight to behold. The celebrations were not limited to capital city of Lagos in the western region. There were also celebrations in other parts or regions of the country, but that of Lagos was the biggest. Nigerians who were not privileged to be at the Tafawa Balewa Square watched the event on TV. The celebration at the Tafawa Balewa Square kicked off with the eloquent speech of the first Prime Minister of Nigeria, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, in which he expressed his joy and happiness for the newly liberated nation and her people. He went further by thanking the colonial masters and promising that Nigeria will remain in good terms with them. Also, Jaja Wachuku, Nigeria's first indigenous speaker, received Nigeria's Instruments of Freedom, which is also called Freedom Charter, from Princess Alexandra of Kent, a member of the British royal family who represented Queen Elizabeth at the ceremony. In the evening, the sky above the Tafawa Balewa Square was animated with colorful display of fireworks and shouts of Happy Independence! Dance troupes of different Nigerian ethnic groups displayed their dancing prowesses to the thrilled audience, while acrobats and masquerades too urged the scene with their performances. A state banquet was also held where dignitaries from Nigeria and other countries mingled, wined, and dined. It indeed was an unforgettable day in the history of Nigeria. Now let's go back a bit. The name Nigeria was taken from the Niger River running through the country. This name was coined in the late 19th century by British journalist Flora Shaw, who later married Lord Lugard, a British colonial administrator. Arise, O Compatriots, is Nigeria's national anthem, which was adopted in 1978. It replaced the previous anthem, Nigeria, We Hail Thee. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland. Nigerian heroes made a great impact on history. They were not afraid to be honest, proclaiming their ideas. Owing to their active political position, crucial metamorphoses have been made in the history of Nigeria. Some of these great men and women of honor are Herbert Macaulay, 1864 to 1946, Nnamdi Azikiwe, 1904 to 1996, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, 1900 to 1978, Obafemi Awolowo, 1909 to 1987, Margaret Ekpo, 1914 to 2006, Hamadu Bello, 1919 to 1966, Anthony Nahoro, 1923 to 2010, Gambo Sawaba Hajia, 1933 to 2001, and Murtala Mohammed, 1938 to 1976. Nigeria celebrates its Independence Day on October 1 every year. The celebrations are held annually both in the capital as well as in the states. The president's speech is broadcast live on radio and television to mark the beginning of Independence Day celebrations. Flag hoisting sessions are also held to show respect to the nation. Besides, the Nigerian Armed Forces conduct parades after the president delivers a speech. Various cultural programs by dance troupes and performances by students across the states are the highlights of the day. The nation also pays homage to the national leaders and freedom fighters who fought for the independence of Nigeria from colonial rule. In the words of Timi Dakolo, "We're all we have. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation and we know we'll get there. We're all we have. We'll defend our land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and that one day we'll shine like the sun. We are a great nation."
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. It's still the mid-morning show. That was a documentary there on Nigerian independence, all the people who agitated for the struggle, or agitated in the struggle to gain a free state. And 62 years after, we are here, and Otunba Deji of Osibogun is still very much here. Thank you, sir, for still being here. Okay, now we talked about restructuring earlier on. And something came to mind. You said since independence, or rather after independence, we have been slaves to ourselves, so to speak. But if we now bring it down to the Yoruba nation, given what plays out now, while in some states, some people would say some tribes would take dominance over the other tribes in a particular state. Now, is that not going to repeat itself if we eventually have a Yoruba nation?
You know, we've had this discussion with quite a lot of people when some say, where's going to be the capital? Where's the capital cannot be Ibadan, it has to be Lagos. Lagos cannot be capital, it has to be Ado-Ekiti. I don't think that comes into play when you're looking at a restructured nation. What comes into play are the existing states that form your region. Now, what comes into play if we are restructured is that your human and natural resources within your state or your state is yours. Now, the collaborative efforts has been practiced. An example of it is the Dawn Commission that is on. The collaborative efforts of Oyo and Ogun setting up a railway line that cuts across the land, and the revenue that accrues to it can only be worked out by Ministry of Finance of each economic planning of each of those things. So it's not as if we want to go back into premiership or it's a region. Each state is on its own. You form your assembly. If now you are looking at integrating your developments in terms of education, in terms of language, in terms of science, in terms of, you will now develop within your context. And if Ekiti wants to assist Oyo State with uranium, they'll say, okay, we'll pick some from you, give us some cocoa. We amongst ourselves will survive far better than going to Abuja to collect money to come and run our state, or going to Abuja to go collect money that is being taken from my state. So while the long journey, why don't you just cut it short? Since we are the ones giving you the money, let's retain our money here, and then we'll give you a percentage, and then the remaining here, then it will make each state competitive amongst themselves. Not competitive in terms of, just years ago, they'll tell you that the largest number of professors came from Ekiti. I don't know if the same is true now. So everybody has their own value. But the minute you start that Bugamaisin theory amongst yourselves, that's when you will not get any headway. So it's as simple as Kunkabuku Shogbe. So if Oyo State is in charge of our resources, both human capital and physical resources, Oyo State can focus on, okay, next year I'm going to spend so much on education, but I don't have enough. Ogun State, you have so much on education funds, can you give us this? And then we are brothers and sisters. So anybody talking about they will go this way, no, that is not a battle of supremacy.
But then with the issue of different political parties not come to play again?
You see, let me just be frank with you again. The greatest disservice we have for this nation are the political parties we have. They are the ones that are dragging us day and night into this bottomless pit. Because even now, no party, APC, PDP, has spoken about restructuring, has spoken about security, has spoken about what steps they want to take, not to talk about their presidential candidates. They will not talk about it because they know if they talk about it, the people who have enslaved them will not allow them to get into power. So where are we going? So the best thing is we will dialogue, we will judge. We are not fighting a war. No, definitely not. We will judge the process of, permit me to the process of excreting depends on the stomach.
Let's touch on.
We're not touching anywhere. We're going home.
Should we go? I think we have all day.
No, we don't.
We should go.
Yes, let's.
I would have wanted us to talk a little on insecurity, but we don't have that.
That would be topic for another
time.
Yes. Thank you very much for coming, Otunba Osibogun. It's been quite enlightening and eye-opening having you as our guest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would always be there for you to also encourage those at home that the future is in your hands. It's not in the hands of the people you're going to vote for. If you don't use your hands now to change your future would be destroyed by the people. Going to vote for. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, now we're moving on. We'll take a break now and come back with the concluding part of the mid-morning show. Do stay with us.
As a people with one song.
Indeed, we are a great nation as we celebrate and
It's a time for reflection. Yesterday, It's a time for reflection. Yesterday, It's a time for reflection.